So,
really?
So basically, you're in pit lane now.
Yep.
Each of the garages get allocated based on the championship result.
Oh, bullshit.
So
number one's obviously the furthest.
Well, no, actually, number one on this
end.
circuit, this end.
Oh, okay.
Who's first out then?
Yeah. Podium.
Oh, bullshit.
Oh, that's the podium up there.
Yeah.
Sick.
Into the candy shop.
Might have to get up here for the race, I reckon.
Yeah. Not bad, is it?
It's awesome.
So here you go, boys, the podium.
G'day everyone and welcome back to episode 6 of On and Off with Ads and Dunks. Adsy, welcome mate.
Thanks for having me again, mate.
You're a constant, aren't you now?
I know, like we say every week, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
And I'm very fortunate today to be joined by Andrew Westacott, F1 Australia Grand Prix CEO. So thanks Andrew for joining us.
No worries, Dunks. Great to be here with you and Ads in a good location, I got to say.
We're in a pretty cool little setup here, aren't we?
It is.
This is the media call room for when the Lewis Hamiltons of the world are winning, and that's the only guy I really know in Formula One because that's my knowledge of Formula One. But
well, there might be a little bit of Ferrari red on this podium.
There might be. Yeah, it's looking pretty good for Ferrari this year, Adsy. You probably don't know, but
hey,
yeah.
I'm here to learn, mate.
It's good. It's good. This is something that Adam doesn't really know about.
Exactly.
For those listening, he doesn't really know much about his F1. So maybe we should do a quiz later on with
let's
you.
do it. We've been trying. So we do this quiz, Andy, where there's got this segment each week where he doesn't really know celebrities, and I'm talking A-grade celebrities. And I started episode 1, and it's just been a continual thing that we've been doing because everyone loves it because he literally doesn't know celebrities. So we've been trying to find something where he could kind of get back at me, but maybe this is it.
Well, I might be halfway between because I've got to get educated by my son and daughter on the celebs, and you've got to remind yourself of the new driver lineups for 2022. But I'm probably got. You asked some great questions when we were down in pit lane before. I got to say.
No, I've still got them lined up here. But in fairness, I still believe that you would probably know more celebrities than what this guy would know because he literally doesn't know anybody.
Yeah, I don't. So I'm pretty bad. But moving on, we were just down in pit lane, and it's pretty cool to see all the construction going on out there at the moment. How's it coming along?
Yeah, well, now's the time where it really ramps up. There's probably going to be about 1,000 to 1,500 workers on circuit, just putting the grandstands are finished, the hospitality suites are finished, but now they've obviously got to be fitted out, and you're getting activations coming in. The first Formula One people have arrived. The riggers and the people who are going to start pulling 85 kilometres worth of fibre optic cable around the joint. But it's from now on, it just ramps up, given that they've already finished in Saudi Arabia. The teams have gone back to their factories, but the early parties coming out and start setting up.
Yeah, because as we speak, we're what? Today's Tuesday. We're a week and a half away from when the races are on. When do you typically? When would you want all this set up to be done for the actual race to actually go ahead and be going ahead smoothly?
Well, so it's a Tuesday today, and therefore next Tuesday is the first day that this changes from being a park to a circuit.
Yeah, okay.
So it goes from Albert Park to the Albert Park Grand Prix circuit at 1 minute past midnight on the Monday night. What we're going to do, the first one we're going to do is literally close it off. So Clarendon Street and down at turn 10 near Ross Gregory Oval and Collegians Footy Club and stuff like that.
It gets shut off.
They're the ones that get shut off because then you've got to put tyre bundles and barriers and concrete walls in place. And Tuesday is just the finalities, and then on the Wednesday, the FIA comes in and does the track inspection and makes sure that the new barriers and everything is all hunky-dory.
So all the rev heads can't come and fly around the streets acting like
we were just talking about that. Imagine if there was a bit of a car race for the general public to come in and...
Who'd win between you and me?
Oh, man, that's a silly question.
Yeah, I would win. No, you'd smash me. No, you were saying before, though, when you started to set the racetrack up, that there was like a group of cars that came to the actual the pit lane bit where they all were there, and they must have been acting like they were about to race or something like that.
It was fantastic. We were down on Sunday and just doing a little bit of prep work and paperwork and just having a look at things going on. And there was a cycling race around Lakeside, and there was lots of car clubs and guys and girls getting together in some cars and going along the main pit lane and just taking photos because it's
awesome.
bloody good spot to take a photo.
And not being able to do that because of the COVID pandemic, it must feel great for you to be able to see that and be a part of that now.
Oh
again.
yeah. Gee, it's just over our left shoulder out in the back there was sort of 760 days since we had the cancellation on Friday the 13th, but it's about 1,100 days since Formula One was on track. So, yeah, it's bloody exciting, and it's nice now to sort of be believing that the rug's not going to be pulled out from under us.
And it's normal, and we're living a normal life, and we're not looking over our shoulders worrying about whether we're going to let things cancel or not. It's great. It's incredible. It's great for Melbourne as well. It's
and the thing is, I had the privilege of going over. There was Formula One had a promoters meeting. We were in Bahrain, and the one thing that everyone was looking forward to was just getting back to Melbourne. And interestingly, they all had their favourite restaurants or a wine bar or things to do. These weren't necessarily drivers. They were sort of the team support,
behind the drivers.
the marketing and the team bosses and stuff like that. But they all had their favourite places.
Yeah, it's actually a good question, I think. Do the drivers get out much when they come in?
That is a good question.
Yes and no. What they generally have is that if you're a Rolex ambassador, then Rolex might have a function
put 'em up
doing
somewhere.
that. Red Bull will do some stuff. So they get out, and the great things that the teams do is they have sponsor and media activities. I remember one day that when Mark Webber was in a team and Daniel was in Red Bull, they went down and played beach cricket and tried to teach
that's awesome.
They tried to teach Max Verstappen how to play cricket, and Red Bull do some fantastic things.
Yeah.
Oscar Piastri is going to
awesome.
be down here on the Tuesday going out to his karting clubs and a footy club that he barracks for, which is pretty trashy. And
Which footy club's that?
I think it's Richmond.
Oh, no.
Because Oscar turns 21 on the Wednesday before the event.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so they get out and about,
Yep.
but they also want to make sure that from a
they're ready to
continuity
go.
point of view that they're not going to get COVID. So they'll play it a little bit quiet, but there's
When do
no
they
bubble.
typically get out of here, like prior to the event starting? Is it a week in advance or?
It's an interesting question, Ads, because sometimes what happens is that a couple of the drivers, because of the break, they might be on an island right now in the Whitsundays and you just don't know about it, and they come down, get over the jet lag. But typically the drivers would get into town on Monday Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you see them around the circuit maybe Wednesday morning. Wednesday's their media day where they do the stuff with the teams, and then you see them come into the paddock. They catch up with their engineers. Daniel will be there with Mick Italiano, who's well known to you guys.
Okay. No, it's good. So, obviously, is there many restrictions placed on the drivers?
That is a good
coming
question.
into because we've as AFL players, we're pretty good now. Like we can still do. It's obviously at your own risk, but I'm not too sure what it's been like overseas or anything at the moment.
Same thing. It's at their own risk. They've got to be double vaxxed coming into the country. There's no exemptions from anyone for anyone. But then when they get into town, they're adopting around the whole city the rules that we all adopt as Victorians. So that they're very safe. In the paddock at the moment, Formula One paddock that is, they had regulations that said they've got to be wearing masks, but that actually might get changed for Melbourne. There was a bit of discussion.
Even when you're outside, you've got to wear a mask.
They have had that rule in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain.
Yep.
But they might be changing it. But
it's funny because a couple of years ago we were in the paddock when just before COVID all hit. It was myself, Jado, and Hayden Crozier, and then everything got cancelled. And that was where COVID sort of first started in Melbourne. Remember that?
Are you referring to our cameo in Drive to Survive?
Yeah, remember that?
Josh?
That was just into Drive to Survive. Adsy hasn't watched it.
Dunks hasn't stopped talking about that moment, being in Drive to Survive.
It's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
I mean, that was the first, I watched the first season. That was the second season, I'm fairly sure. Or was it the first season of Drive?
No, it wasn't first. I reckon it was
third, maybe.
Third. It was third.
Yeah, and we had a little cameo, and you actually sent it through to me saying, make sure you watch this episode at this time. So it was good, but obviously not good for Australian sport when it all got canned. Obviously went through a fair bit then, and it's just great to be back now. Obviously, like you mentioned, Adsy, with some normality in life again.
I got another question on the COVID bit. Do they have to COVID test the drivers much? Because I know it's different because it's international sport clearly, but we got to test every day. The what test is
the rat
test
one. We do it every day. We're in at the footy club. Do the drivers have to test?
Yeah,
racing?
They had a rule through 2020 and 2021, and you've got to look at it. They've done bloody well. They had 17 races in 2020, 22 races last year. So they've just had two. They've got 41 races since our cancellation before the next drinks here in Melbourne. So what they did is that they have a rule when you go into the Formula One paddock, you have accreditation, and to activate your accreditation, you have to return negative test. And
Yeah,
that was the
right,
rule
really?
and there was
Has anyone tested
Oh, yeah.
positive? There has.
Yeah, Lewis missed races. Valentino Rossi, who's a
I don't know.
motorcyclist.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's obviously a massive thing because I know you win points for races and obviously accumulates. So if you miss a race, you just don't get any points.
You don't,
Zero.
Yeah, exactly,
That
zero.
sucks.
And I remember, Sergio Perez, who went out to Whitten Oval one year when he was with Force India, and I think he did some stuff with Will Minson.
Oh, did he really?
Oh, yeah, Big Will was there and little Checo. They went out to
Wow.
They went to Whitten Oval. I think we had a car out there. During the early stages, Sergio made a stray trip back down to Mexico to visit his family, but didn't tell the team.
Oh, really?
And he got COVID and missed out the next one.
Well, there's actually a whisper. I think Amit Baines actually sent it to me a couple of days ago. Apparently, Lewis Hamilton might be a dog supporter, potentially. Did you know that, Andrew?
Well, no, I could absolutely imagine he would be because he's got a dog called Roscoe. It's a bulldog.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Oh yeah, so you boys better
Bring
get.
him
So we might have to get our act together and get him out to the Whitten Oval, mate.
Between
Well,
Louis and Antonio Brown, who do you want on the potty?
Oh, that's a big question. Lewis Hamilton, probably.
Yeah, let's go.
Well,
Louis.
I reckon when you guys come along to the paddock, you've got to have a bulldog mascot and a Bulldogs jumper, and that'd be the way to do it.
We
will,
actually
mate.
should do that. I'll try and organise that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but is Louis? So will he be there? We'll be able to go up to him and have a chat with him.
Well,
Well,
if we,
he'll be
Maybe we need to ask him.
he'll be here. We'll ask Andrew. He'll set it all up for us.
He'll definitely be here,
Yeah.
Ads, and but you tee those things up with their marketing and
Could you
comms people.
imagine
You know
that?
what it's like.
Could you imagine Louis rocking up to training and us surprising the boys?
You might be the first person to call him Louis. I think he goes by Lewis.
It's an Australian.
Lewis.
It's an Australian thing, mate. We all have nicknames for each other, don't we?
Yeah, we do. But no, I've actually got one question for you. We've done, as you mentioned, 6 episodes so far. I want to know, there's one thing that we've been sort of talking about, Ads and I, to and from, but do you watch food videos? If you get hungry, do you watch food videos?
What a random question.
Yeah, I don't watch them if I'm getting hungry, but I do like some of the food shows. I remember there was a great one back on the day on SBS, Iron Chef.
Iron Chef.
Is that,
Yeah.
was that the
Chef
it was-
Sakai was the guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember. It was they were Asian, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it was fantastic.
That
It was
was-
really
So
good.
you like watching people cook?
Yeah.
But so Adam likes watching people eat.
Hold on.
Oh,
You asked I like cooking too, but the overriding thing is the answer is yes.
if I start,
The answer is yes.
If you leak this, if you send a link of this episode to my wife Tina, and she starts hearing me talking about cooking, the only thing I've perfected I'm all right at barbecuing. My son Charlie and I perfected paella.
Oh,
yum.
And
Paella.
actually we've done
So
that pretty darn well, we reckon. But Tina is hands down. She's the chef
She's
in the
the chef.
Westacott household. Don't worry about
Maybe
it.
you can do me a favour and cook it up and put a YouTube clip up for you guys eating, and I'll sit there and watch it.
Yeah, so some background, because he obviously loves it, and he's very good with his diet and everything else that he does, but he does love, so when he gets hungry, it's actually a thing. How many subscribers are there?
So there's this guy. Well, there's a guy called Mr. Beard Meats Food or something. It's something along the lines of that. He's got a long beard.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, and what he does is he eats food like it's fast food. So it's food that I typically wouldn't eat, like burgers and chips, but they're ridiculous challenges. And he would per video. I'm not sure, but he'd have almost 2-3 million subscribers that watch these videos.
God.
And he thinks, when I say he, Dunks thinks that, I'm going to find it here. Dunks thinks that it's weird that I sit there and watch. It's not like I'm watching this because I'm not eating that food and I want to enjoy it, so I watch someone else eat it.
What do you think of that?
That's an interesting take on watching your food.
It's very interesting.
I think it's when you look at MasterChef, people are looking at about how to make it, but
Exactly.
you're actually looking at how
Hold
to
on.
eat it.
Exactly.
So, but I do enjoy cooking shows as well. And if we're going to go and talk about cooking shows, if I'm watching a reality show, Andrew, I'm watching MasterChef, and what was that show you called just before? The
Iron Chef.
And that was typically Asian cuisines, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I remember that because I remember my stepdad used to watch it, and I used to go in there and watch it all the time. I loved it, absolutely loved it. So the answer is yes.
Because it really, if people are going on first date and, you pick those foods that you're not going to, if you go on a date night sort of thing, which ones you don't want to eat and shouldn't eat to get it all over your shirt, then maybe that's the sort of
Maybe that's the
extension.
one.
Yeah.
Exactly. But anyway,
Just look.
Mr. Beard Meats Food has 1.71 million subscribers. Look at the food that he eats.
Look at the size of his beard too.
See, look at that. See, that's why I watch it, because it's like, first it's like, so for people who can't see, this is obviously you can't see it. There's like 6
Well, there's a
burgers
camera
there.
here, mate. Show the camera. You can probably see that now.
Mr. Beard Meats Food. So anyway, he thinks it's weird, but it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've talked about that. It's just been a common thing, and I just wanted to ask you because I was thinking last night about some questions to throw towards you, Andrew. But we will touch on our relationship. Obviously, you got a connection with the footy club and being a dog supporter for quite a while. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, the old man played for the Dogs in '54. He didn't. He was an emergency for the grand final, but
really?
Played with all the boys. And I've got some great black and white photos of him and Charlie Sutton and Ted Whitten and
that's
all
awesome.
the boys.
That's
and
so cool.
there's not many of them left. But I first went down. The experience of going to the footy was in the players' rooms and everything underneath the John Gent stand as it was on the wing. And I was at the Melbourne Hotel the other night having a meal, and Gary Dempsey was there next door.
really?
And I reckon I've got my autograph book. If we're on next year before the Grand Prix, I'll have to plug it out because I think I've got about 9 autographs of Gary Dempsey in 9 consecutive weeks. He was good enough to sign it. But there's an interesting one that Doug Hawkins, I think he must have been about a 17-year-old, has signed in running writing, Doug Hawkins.
Oh,
and
really?
It's a really good autograph. And Georgie
good.
Bissett and Charlie Pagnoclo and all those sorts of people. But yeah, the old man played, and the other thing, interestingly, he played in the demonstration game at the '56 Olympics.
Oh, is so? That's clearly you're demonstrating to people who don't know what AFL is. They actually did a game like that. That's crazy.
Back in the
I didn't know that.
That's how cool is that?
What they used to have is Olympic Games. I don't know where it started, but it was certainly in the 50s. So let's say 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. It was always a demonstration sport that was the organisers were allowed to do. And so on the MCG they had, and it was all amateurs, so they had all amateur players from the VFA and VFL versus a team of the amateurs from the VAFA. And so the old man was in a team, and Lindsay Gaze was actually in one of the... He played, I think, in
Andrew
the VAFA
Gaze
team.
is old.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
former
crazy.
basketball doyen of
Do you know
Australian
Andrew
sport.
Gaze is?
Yes, I know.
Oh, that's a celebrity question. Don't worry. Anyway, yeah. So he
and so
played
there was,
as well.
there was a green team and a white team, and they had the Olympic rings on their jumpers and so on.
That's
so,
cool.
That's incredible.
When
Yeah,
you say amateurs, do you mean they? So they didn't play AFL. They were. Was it the league below the AFL?
Second tier.
Yeah,
So
the
VFL
Victorian Amateur
the
Football
VFL
Association.
below.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So because obviously back in the day, the Olympics was totally amateur.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Can you
That's
imagine
pretty
doing that?
crazy.
So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't you?
Nah, had
So
no
that's,
idea.
That's
Well-
the link. That's the link to the Westacotts and how the Bulldogs link came
That's
along.
crazy. What was the reception? Do you know what the reception was like for our game from the other countries?
Well, you know, there's some good. I think they were probably bamboozled.
yeah,
ads.
they would have been like, "What's going on
But
here?"
there's some old footage on it, and it's in.
I'm gonna look that up.
Colour. It's bloody good.
Well, imagine. Do you watch YouTube at all, Dunks? I don't.
Barely.
ask you.
Barely.
So I watch YouTube when I'm bored, and there's people that do. They do like reactions to AFL moments. So it'll be like an American guy, and he'd just be reacting to the biggest hits of AFL or the best goals of AFL.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hilarious because he has no idea what's going on. So my perception of someone watching our sport who doesn't know would be like, what are these guys doing? They're all just running around doing nothing.
It's funny you say that because when we go to America and you're trying to explain to someone what the sport is,
Yeah.
Cros would always Google like AFL football and they would come up with like the Nick Rewald hits and all those hits where guys just get knocked out. And Americans are like, what is this?
What is going on?
Now, speaking of America, you guys have got one over me because I've never been to Austin, Texas, Circuit of the Americas.
yes.
Because at the Grand Prix, we promote MotoGP in October at Phillip Island and F1, and they always alternate. So when we're having this event, you know, F1, MotoGP is often at Austin, Texas, and when our event is on in October at Phillip Island, they've got Formula One. But you guys went on a road trip, didn't you?
We did, yeah. That was 2019 or 18, I think it was, and that was a pretty cool experience. Jada was there every day, as you can imagine, and it was pouring down rain. So race day was the only day that had no rain.
Yeah.
So to get into the track took quite a while, but it was a cool experience. And as we were talking about before, when the crowd rush at the end of the race, we were all on the track at the end of the race and there to see. I think Maxie came second, so
Okay.
it was a pretty good race from him. And Danny Rick crashed out, and that was one of his last races in Red Bull. So
Alrighty.
it was a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, well, we have Track Invasion that'll make Buddy's little ground
great.
invasion
SCG.
look.
So how many people you reckon will be?
Oh, well,
You touched on that
we'll have
before.
125 to 130,000 on Sunday, and as a result of
Just
that,
Sunday alone.
yeah,
Not
and then
even
Saturday
counting.
we'll have the same. And I reckon the way it's going at the moment, we'll be pushing. We'll get 100,000 on Friday. I reckon. If
That's
not, it'll be in the
crazy.
90s. So
Do you have a certain goal that you want to get? However X many people in, or not really? You don't really talk
it's a
about
bit-
it.
Look, it's a bit of a balance. Yeah, we talk about it because one of the things, if we'd left it untethered, I reckon we would have sold 150, 160,000 on race day. But then, then you have
Wow.
a couple of things. We want those people who are being drawn to the sport for the first time to have a sensational experience.
And want to come back every
And if
single time.
if we're
yeah.
greedy, there's two things it means. One, we've got to cater for that crowd, which would be 150, let's say, and then 100 on Saturday.
Yep.
We've got all that added infrastructure that we've had to build
Yep.
for 50,000 people only for one day, whereas if we have 125, 115, 110,
Yeah, consistent.
everything from bars to entry points to toilets to child care facilities or whatever they are, and changing facilities, you reduce the amount of infrastructure,
Yeah,
and,
okay.
and we want people to have a sensational time.
No doubt they will, though. They'll be back every year.
Well, I hope so.
And you also touched on off air before, you were talking about some really cool performances on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday from some musicians and bands.
Yeah, tell
Pretty
us a bit
exciting.
about that.
Yeah, you know, there's 650 hours of music playing across the weekend.
Wow.
We've got four main areas, but the main one we call M Lane, which is overlooking the lake. And if people know Albert Park, there's a place called the Carousel.
Yep.
Sensational view across to the
Beautiful
city.
view. Yep.
M Lane is there, the main stage. We've got G Flip and the Rubens on Friday.
That's exciting.
Friday night.
Yep.
And on Saturday we've got Peking Duck playing. So this year, because we're 3 or 4 weeks later, on the 10th of April, we're not in daylight saving.
Yeah, okay.
So sunsets at 6:01 on race day. So as a result of that, it's darker, and we can then
Yeah.
we're going to keep the
That'd be
venue
pretty cool.
open on those nights, contract it down to some areas, and have some good music and entertainment.
Will you have the Dogs game on in the background, because we're obviously playing Richmond on Saturday night? So will you have that on the big screen as well, Andrew?
Actually, I better talk to our entertainment team. We've got 41 big screens, so if anyone wants to come along, and they can really only come along on Friday.
Yeah.
So if they've got their ticket, they can come here for quali, go across to see you guys on Saturday night.
Should get a double
Then
pass
come
or
back.
something
I
going.
know.
Yeah, and hopefully they did. But we did one thing down at Phillip Island when it was Cox Plate, and was it Maccabi Diva or Winks or whatever, one of the horses that was going to win. that
Oh,
race.
Winks probably, yeah.
Winks.
Would have been.
You guys are, Sandy Prince is your
Sandy Prince.
Sandy
I'm not in that
Prince.
one, but
Yeah.
a few of the boys are.
Yeah, but anyway, what we did was we had the Cox Plate playing on the super screens down at Phillip Island, because it was
Awesome
one of
one.
those
That's cool.
iconic moments.
Yeah.
So I think it's an iconic moment, qualifies under the Iconic Moments Act to have
Richmond v
Bulldogs.
Western Bulldogs. Speaking of Richmond, remember when Jack Rewalt, when they won the flag and he got up on stage and started singing?
Yeah.
What are the chances of the winner here getting up on stage and singing whoever's playing on the Sunday?
Well, Heineken's got some activity on the podium here, but the best thing was going back to, I think it was 2009, 2010. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the venue.
Oh, was he?
Wow.
Yeah,
What,
and-
here?
Yeah, here.
Oh, that's
he'd
wild.
been at Arnie's Classic, the
Yeah, okay.
bodybuilding thing just down at Jeff's shed.
Yeah.
And he came along, and people say, "Oh, you must pay all these people," but celebs don't get paid to come to the Grand Prix. They just ring
They
up and
just
say, "I
wanna
want to
come.
come
They wanna
along."
come.
Yeah.
So it cost us actually a platter of hamburgers in the Grand Prix
That's
suite.
it.
And so Arnie went down to the podium, and normally they'll have. There's a protocol, so they've got someone from the FIA, someone from government, someone from the promoter, and someone from the sponsor. Arnold Schwarzenegger came out and presented the winning trophy, and Lewis was on the top
No
step.
way.
And he looks on and he says, "You're Arnie." And then they both got to, it's a great moment. I think it's probably on YouTube
It
as
would be.
well. And they both hugged each other, and on the count of three, they said, "I'll be back."
So they had no idea that Arnie was
had
there presenting.
absolutely no
and
idea.
the fans wouldn't have had any idea either.
No, we had to
Wow.
keep it a secret. And there was one other thing, just the fun stuff that happens. John Travolta was the ambassador for Qantas as title partner one year, and as you know, he was also an accomplished pilot, and he'd fly out
Oh, that's
an
right.
old
Yeah. He's got a
Qantas
helipad
plane.
at his house, doesn't he?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. He didn't fly the chopper over. Anyway, he you talked about when we went up into the start finish box where the starter is. Travolta waved the flag that year, the checkered flag. But the consummate professional he was, we went into one of the meeting rooms in the pit buildings, and he practiced. We got one of the CAMS marshals, Motorsport Australia now. We got one of the CAMS marshals to teach him the figure eight wave.
Oh, that is wicked.
But he nailed it because you have a look. There's some who are pretty naff. Oh God!
You just wave it. You wouldn't even think about how
And
to.
saying that though, is it the same waiver for every? What would this job description
The
be?
waiver.
The flag waiver. Is it the same on every time, or if there is a celebrity depending on where the race is, would you ask the celebrity to come out and do that?
And they did, and sometimes they can mark it up. Remember the guy from Korea who was walked like Gangnam Style?
Yes.
I can't remember his name. You'll know.
You did that really well. That was good. Gangnam Style. The dance was like that.
Yeah, Gangnam Style guy did the wave of the flag in Korea when they had a Korean Grand Prix about 2 or 3 years, and actually it must have been around Weber time because Mark had a chance of winning the championship that year, and I have a feeling it was either him or someone else. They didn't get the tap on the shoulder at the right time and waved the checkered flag a lap early.
Oh no!
So, absolutely.
So then what happened? Did they have to finish another lap?
I think they had to.
Radio
would have been on. And radio said no, 1 lap to go.
Tell
them
the
to
driver.
go.
Imagine if it was close.
Oh. Yeah.
And the first bloke coming through is just stopped, and then you just gets taken over.
Well,
Imagine that.
As you know, they get pretty close. They get pretty good radio thing, and so they would have said to whoever it was, 1 lap to go, 1 lap to go, sort of thing. But it's well controlled.
Yeah.
And when you've got Mick Schumacher had a crash at about 240 kilometres an hour the other day in Saudi Arabia, and Grosjean, if you've ever watched Drive to Survive, Man on Fire. Tell you what.
So he crashed. His car caught on fire.
Are you kidding?
And everyone's hearts just sunk, man.
As you would.
When we saw that was pretty crazy.
It was.
And then he just got out of it.
So because I again watching random YouTube videos, I have seen how the development of cars themselves haven't just improved that much over time to where they're not. I'm not going to say they're 100% totally safe from accidents, but they're pretty safe, aren't they? Depending on what they have, depending on what happens. And you've just explained to me a fiery car accident and he's got now and walked out. I presume they're pretty good now.
Yeah, and one of the unbelievable things is that the safety that exists in Formula One now goes into road cars in a variety of different ways, whether it's carbon fibres or even from an engine point of view. Formula One's been powered by hybrid engine since 2014.
Yep.
And it's the most efficient hybrid engine, internal combustion engine in the world. And now what Formula One's doing from a sustainability point of view is developing renewable fuels that will power Formula One into the future. I think it's either from 2026 or 2030. But, they recognise that they've got a responsibility because,
absolutely.
The future of mobility, it might be electric down the track, but if 90% of the cars we've got are internal combustion engines, let's make them as efficient as they can be as we progress to even more sustainable options. And that's what Formula One's doing.
Yeah.
Well, it's all in their race suits as well, isn't it? Like Grosjean, he was safe because of his race suit.
Oh, yeah. And you'll remember his gloves and his feet.
Yeah.
So can you explain it? So what is it, a fireproof
so pretty much his whole body, his race suit that he was wearing covered his whole body and saved his whole body from burns.
What's on his face?
His hands and his feet were the only affected, weren't they?
Yeah, and it was because the rating of his gloves and his shoes was to withstand a minute
of
fire heat, and they extended it. The spec was to 2 minutes. What they have is, you ever seen ads, the drivers underneath their outer overalls, or race suits, also have an inner fireproof. Basically, it's like a skivvy, and it goes over, and it's the sort of thing you'd wear if you were.
Yeah, I've seen them on there.
They put that on,
and they take it out. I've seen. Wow. So, what would they have? For example, like back in the day, what would they be wearing underneath?
Well,
nothing. Like just no protective gear or anything.
Not much. And one of the things when you talk, I had the privilege of being able to talk to people like Sir Jack Brabham, who won 3 world championships.
Yep.
Back when he raced, they actually felt that it was safer to drive without a seatbelt, because when they had a crash, they would get thrown clear of the car.
Oh my God!
And Sir Jack and Sir Jackie Stewart, who's another 3-time legend, and he'll be out here in Melbourne.
Yep.
They realised that it was awful. They were losing their racing colleagues every 2 or 3 weeks
from
from death.
Bad crashes.
From bad crashes.
You're kidding.
And so Jackie made a stand, and a guy called Professor Sid Watkins, who was basically, he was there on the scene when Ayrton Senna passed away in Imola at Tamburello. And they decided to say, and Bernie Eccleston was in this, they said, we've got to have, towards zero. So they came along after Ayrton died in 1994. They said, and in the lead up to that, we've got to stop deaths in Formula One.
Yep.
And that's when the safety really, really got pioneered. And it wasn't until 2014 and a guy called Jules Bianchi, who had a crash into a track crane of all things at Suzuka in fading light. And they're the only ones that have been happening. There was Senna and Roland Ratzenberger at Imola, and that's why it's safe and safe and safe all the way through.
So they're just continuing. It's like we'll talk.
Well, Halo. You should explain what Halo is.
Halo. What's
the
that?
bloody thing around the front of the car.
Yeah.
Not the Halo around ads.
No, I was just going to say, he's one sitting on his head.
Walks around. What's a halo?
No, it's just, you probably explain it better than me, Andrew.
Okay, so what happened is that, in the racing car, the head of the driver will be sitting up above the sort of the chassis and the bodywork.
Yep.
Well, then there's been situations, if a car comes along and rides up over the top of the other one.
Which happens, does that
Which
happen?
happens, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Then the driver's head and helmet is exposed. In fact, that's what happened with Bianchi because he hit the side of this...
The crane.
The crane. So what they've introduced is this, it was like it's shaped like a bit of like a chicken wing. Sorry, a wishbone on a chicken.
Wing, yeah, yep.
Not a wing, but a wishbone.
Formula 1 car.
So if you have a look, they called it the Halo, and that is made of the most unbelievably thick and strong carbon fibre, and it now protects the driver's head to make sure that they... So when you see the cars, there's this halo, and it saves lives, and it has saved lives. Remember at Monza last year with Lewis and Max when they took each other out?
Yeah,
The car went across the top of him.
So it's pretty crazy how most sports, like every sport, is just finding ways to grow and make it safer and better for the athletes performing, and even making the race itself for you guys better. Because you were touching on before, Andrew, how you were saying to me, because I obviously wouldn't know anything like this, you were saying how you got rid of some turns and you added some turns.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I would have just thought a track is a track, and 50 years ago the track would be the same as it is now. It's pretty crazy how you actually adjust and change it.
It is, and the technology. So what happened was that the asphalt went down in Melbourne in 1995, and it had never been replaced, and it was getting bumpy and really sort of starting to it wasn't crumbling or anything, but it was absolutely on its last leg. So we had an obligation to resurface.
And this is just now, just for this race coming up.
Yeah, so we did the resurfacing in. It was a 3-stage process. We widened pit lane by 2 metres with the intent to get the speed limit up in pit lane to 80 kilometres an hour. We then made geometric changes, so we widened 5 turns. We took 2 out.
That's cool.
It's all for the spectacle too.
It's so cool.
And we changed the geometry of them to get more overtaking. And then this year there's new specification cars adds as well. So the combination of it all is to make for better racing.
Yeah.
Because it's been a bit processional, and Melbourne was a processional sort of track.
Yep.
And by making all these changes, and then we've changed the asphalt
Yep.
to be a higher abrasiveness.
Yeah.
So hopefully with the Pirelli tyres it's going to wear more. And then as the purists would know in Formula One, if you can have a one-stop race strategy, 1 pit stop, or a 2-stop race strategy, then that introduces completely different tyre options. And hopefully we're going to see all that come to fruition on the 10th of April.
And you also spoke about overtaking. You mentioned out there before, again, I'm very naive to all of this, but I presume there'd be a lot of overtaking during races. You were saying how there wasn't much overtaking on this course, and that's part of the reason why you were doing that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We were probably second only to Monaco, and that's because it's a bloody street circuit.
Monaco is a street circuit.
I do know that. You know how I know that?
How?
PlayStation 2. I used to play the Formula 1 game.
Yeah.
2007.
There you go.
2007.
It was 2007 Formula 1. I used to play it all the time. It was so much fun.
You should have played the one last year. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, there is a new
In
one.
the hub, we bought the full
yeah.
wheel and everything, like brake,
played it.
accelerator, and would sit in a room and just go in there and do time trials.
I heard you
Yep.
did the video on the wall. It was a pretty...
Yeah, so the PlayStation was on the wall. You'd hook up the wheel and the foot pedals to the
That's
TV,
so cool.
and we'd just go in there and just go hammer and tong. Who would get the best lap time?
That's elite.
I'd love to hear, because I've heard from speaking to a few people that the Carlton boys stayed at the same hotel. They had the same arrangements. And
They did the same thing just
and
after us, though.
A few of the Melbourne boys. It'd be interesting. There's probably a group of Formula One nuts in every one of the F1
Oh, there absolutely is. We've
AFL
got,
teams.
like, I don't know how many guys at the Dogs we've got that are
it's commonly
interested.
spoken about.
It's a topical conversation.
Yeah.
Like now, and especially leading into next weekend, it's going to be, well, for next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's going to be pretty special to be down here ourselves, and obviously you're looking after us, Andrew. So thank you for getting us here, and it's going to be really exciting. I think everyone's really keen to get along and see F1 back in Melbourne.
Well, it's exciting for Melbourne.
Yeah, elite. It is. It's good because, like you said, we had nothing for so long, and now that we're being able to do that, and even like I said, I'm very naive and I don't really know much about it. I'm learning as I'm going. Talking to you now, Andrew, and I'll watch the Drive to Survive because Dunks has been telling me to watch it. But I have been to these events. I think I've come 3 times in my time, and I was always so interested in just watching the race itself and not having it the last couple of years, as you've just touched on. You could tell it was a massive hole that was missing, especially around the month. Way I know it as well, it was always the month of my birthday, so obviously I'm born in March, saying it's the month of my birthday, we're in March.
It was his birthday the other day, Andrew.
Oh, happy birthday.
And my daughter's birthday last week. And yeah, not having it here for the last couple of months, you can tell it's been missing big time. So the fact that we've got it here, and you touched on players talking about it. We actually were talking about it prior to the game on Thursday last week. We played Thursday, yeah.
Yep.
Cody Waitman was saying how he wants to come out and get on the track and have a look. And
well, Cody, if he got the race suit on, because he's got the height, he's probably a bit more solid than a few of the
drivers.
But
yeah.
he could get in. I think Norts and Timmy English are going to come along.
They'd struggle.
They will struggle.
Hang on, so I don't know that. So you're telling me the drivers are tiny?
Tiny.
They're
What do they weigh?
Cody Waitman's size.
They probably weigh 70.
Max, no, absolutely max. There'll be people who know, but I would say average 65 to 70.
Wow. And how big? How big are they?
Well, Mark Webber was 184, and he was one of the tallest. I think
184.
Alex Albon's pretty tall, but generally they're little guys. I saw Kevin Magnussen the other day, and Kevin would be I don't know, take a guess, but 64 kilos ringing wet, and he's probably only about 5'9" sort of thing.
Yeah. So these guys are only. Is that because bigger drivers, bigger people, can they just not fit in the car? Like, what is it? Why can't
they won't go as fast?
Is that why?
That's probably something to do with weight.
Why?
Yeah, there's a bit of weight and it's a bit of size. It's just the sort of nature. The interesting thing is when you get MotoGP riders and they're riding on a 1,000cc bike that's weighing about 170, 180 kilos. Danny Pedrosa, who was a Spanish guy and was always up there, he didn't win a world championship. He might have won it in sort of 250 and 125cc. Yep. He weighed 57 kilos.
Wow.
So they're just jockeys.
So it has to
you have to be light.
You clearly got to be light to make the car. Yeah. What type of training would they do?
The best thing is you have a look at the neck muscles, aerobic capacity. They're fit dudes.
So you know how we do those neck pushes at training?
Yeah, we do neck pushes.
These guys strap a thing to their head and they've got to do it's like a test.
Oh, okay.
Where they've got to do every direction as hard as they possibly can. You see them on their videos and stuff that they do on socials. It's incredible.
So when you say cardio, again, I'm so naive to all this. Why? How come they need to be fit? Like, what's the?
Well, just the there's some mental fitness you need to have, and which comes with your physical fitness. I mean, if you go Singapore and it's a 2-hour race, you've got 37 degrees ambient temperature. You're in a race suit with an engine right behind you. And
you're in a sauna.
That all makes sense.
Yeah, and then it's just the fitness, and you look at the number of movements that they've got to do to control these cars at speed. They are unbelievably fit athletes aerobically, and just worth having a look at some of their training things. And I know Michael Italiano, who is Daniel's trainer, does a lot with Crows and you Dunks, and they've got to get him in ship shape fashion.
That's great because you don't appreciate I wouldn't appreciate the stuff that they do to get themselves up physically and mentally to perform at the highest level. For me, it's just they're just getting in a car and they're driving really quick. For me, if I'm ever going quick in a car, I just get the thrill and the excitement of it. I don't really think about the whiplash of your head slinging back and forth and you're driving and turning corners. I don't think about that side of things.
We often talk about concentration during a game of footy for 2 hours. In the car, you cannot be off for 1 second.
Yeah.
Because they're travelling at, 300 k's an hour sometimes, and it's just if they make one mistake, they're in the wall.
Yep. See, where we can make a mistake and butter up next contest or whatever it is. But
exactly.
What about, this is another random question. You just touched on how they race in. Did you say Bahrain? Is that where they race?
Yeah, Bahrain season opening. Bahrain and Saudi Arabia this
year.
And you said it was
37 degrees. How do they keep themselves cool?
Well, before they get into the cars, they wear those cool vests that you guys would play if you were having a game up in Cairns and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
That's how they kept them
And
cool.
there's no little fan or something.
Oh,
Well,
no.
before the race, they'll have like a fan that
On their
goes into the
face?
car.
Really?
Yeah.
And to keep everything cool, the other thing is that when they're sitting on the grid, you'll see it. They have dry ice supplies because they're blowing dry ice and cool air into the engine to keep the engine at temperature.
Yep.
They're keeping the brakes when they've got a pit stop or they're getting into the garage. They want to keep the brakes cool.
Yep.
The other interesting thing is that technically the tyres this year, which are 18-inch tyres now, they've made a change and they're only heating them to 100 degrees, or 70 degrees, not 100 anymore. So the technical stuff is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, that is blowing my mind just listening to all that. Now. That's
We could probably
crazy.
talk all day, Andrew, but we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for coming on, and obviously exciting week ahead leading into the Grand Prix in Melbourne, and just thank you again for obviously getting us involved, and we look forward to next week. For those listening, make sure you head along to join in what's going to be a massive weekend of Australian sport.
Yeah, it sure is. And I reckon, thanks, guys, that, Thursday and Friday are the days to come along because the weekend's sold out. But it's also slightly less crowds, a bit more relaxed. You can bring along the kids. There's plenty to see and do. And, it's just a great day out in Melbourne. So good luck for the rest of the season, boys. Sadly, I won't be there for the next 2 weeks.
Nah, that's all right.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
Pleasure.
All right, welcome back, everyone. That was a pretty cool segment with Andrew Westacott, the F1 Australian Grand Prix CEO, wasn't it, Adsy?
Yeah, you did well there, mate. Well done.
Good
Well
little
done.
one to have.
That was your guest, and I'm.
You're up next.
I am.
Really? You've got someone lined up?
Well, I don't, but I'll try and get someone lined up. Maybe the wrestling CEO, which is Vince McMahon, which is probably a hard guy to get. Do you know who Vince McMahon is?
No idea. No idea.
No, but that was good. I enjoyed it. I could have spent another hour talking to him.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be an F1 supporter to
No way, mate.
to ask questions and understand the sport, and it's just a crazy thing. Like you mentioned, I think every sport has a different avenue and things to talk about. And for us, we don't know a lot about F1. We talk about netball.
You're pretty good.
Well, I know a bit, but even some of the stuff he was talking about, I was like, it's pretty incredible. So
yeah, well, that was the thing for me. Like I said, I could have spent another hour talking to him, asking him questions. I would still love to see. Like, I'd love to be able to spend like a week or, I don't know, like an off-season training program with the Formula One drivers just to see what they're like.
They do.
And, I appreciate how mentally tough they would be. And you mentioned concentration, and we're trying to be we're trying to concentrate as much as we can throughout a game. And the beauty that we have is we can make a mistake and then butter up again. But you were saying how they can't make a mistake, literally, because they are out of the race or whatever it may be. And to even, spend a week with one of the F1 drivers, or even just dive into their brain and what they're talking about and how they are and how they go about their things would be incredible. It'd be incredible. So you did well. You did really well.
Nah, thanks, mate.
Well done,
That's the
mate.
first compliment you've given me for a while, mate.
Please. You had 5 smothers on the weekend, mate. I gave you those compliments.
Well, leading into that, we'll touch on the game. Obviously, another disappointing result, but I think after the first half, we were pretty happy with our performance. Didn't kick straight in the last quarter. I put my hand up.
Me too.
But how'd you find it? What was the?
Well, I agree with that. It's disappointing. We obviously, I think we kept them to 25 points, was it?
In the second half. Yep.
So for them to put on 75 in the first, which is very disappointing because we pride ourselves on being a good defence. So if you look at I guess you try and take the positives out of a negative result, negative being we didn't win the game. You can learn off that and you can improve off that. And if we take the way we played in the second half, take the way we played, that 25-minute patch against Melbourne round 1 into the next games to build momentum, I feel like we're in a good position. But I don't want to rock up every week saying if only, and it's so frustrating for us. So I feel like we're heading in the right direction. I feel like it's, again, another good challenge for us. There's no easy games. There's no easy oppositions in this competition, and we're coming up against a red hot team. They're 2-0. They didn't lose
Swans
the first game.
Yep.
2-0. They're flying at the moment. I was kind of a little bit disappointed, but he didn't kick 1,000 against us because I would have loved to have.
It would have been pretty cool.
Just to see like what it would have been like. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy.
There's so much vision coming out of it, like everywhere on social media. And did you see that one where Zach Tui was walking off and he's just accidentally cleaned up a guy.
Yeah.
Like things like that would be.
Did you see the one where it makes me laugh? Where I think it was Chad Warner, and Ollie Florent. They were
outside the
outside
SCG,
just walking. They were just walking in the change room outside with the public. You imagine how funny that would have been.
Incredible.
Yeah, we were talking about it. We were saying how, imagine if he was on 999 and had the 1,000 against us. It would have been pretty cool. But what a crazy thing to witness and see. Because again, we're probably never going to see that ever again. The way the game's played this day and age, we're probably never going to see 1,000 goals ever again.
Well, I remember it because I was actually nearly asleep, and you text me saying, "Are you watching, buddy?" And I'd watched the first half, and he'd only kicked one.
Yeah. He was quiet first half, and then the third he came alive, and then the last.
Yeah,
obviously.
third quarter he's kicked 2 goals, and you text me, and I was like, "Nah," but I'm up now. Like I was fully awake when it was close, and I watched the whole last quarter.
Could you imagine? Because there was only 5 minutes 55 to go. Game was over. Sydney had obviously won. The fact that they had to wait almost an hour for it to settle, and then they just go back out there and play another 5 minutes. Would you have just been like, "Oh, let's just call the game"? Like, whatever.
I don't know if Buddy played the last 5. I think he just sat off the whole time because he would have been so rattled.
Yeah, he would have been. Like, imagine for me, I'm very claustrophobic. I can't be in enclosed spaces.
Yeah.
And he was getting mobbed. He was getting absolutely
Genuinely mobbed.
And then the fact that he was able to. Like, you obviously watched it. Did you see how, happy he was? He was smiling. He was cheering. He kept screaming, saying, "Come on." And, he took all that in his stride, where if I put myself in that position, I probably would have lasted 5 minutes and been like, "Get me out of here. I'm sick of this."
No, well, you got to appreciate the greatness, and he's obviously been one of the greats that we've ever seen in the game. So for him to still be playing and kicking 1,000 goals is just incredible. And I think James Brayshaw commentated at the time, and legend becomes immortal, and
absolutely, mate.
Just a great line to sort of see that type of experience with, isn't it?
Yeah, well, hopefully he doesn't have too good of a game this Thursday.
No, we need to keep him quiet this week. But yeah, last week was obviously disappointing, as we mentioned, and I suppose we're getting more consistency, and we had sort of the second half last week, and it is frustrating when we come off it a little bit and let teams in. It's probably, again, we've touched on it over the past couple of weeks, just our connection and bad turnovers in certain areas of the ground. So we're working on it, and hopefully, this week against Sydney, we've had another good week of training. We come out and put our best foot forward.
Mate. We'll get the win. Yeah, but we'll move on. There was another round one for a different sport that we both watched, the netball.
We did.
We're gonna make this a weekly thing. We're gonna analyse the netball and the season.
The Suncorp Super Netball round 1 was this week, as you mentioned.
Yeah,
and
your girl got up.
Yeah, Tipsy got up. She Adelaide Thunderbirds played Collingwood.
Yep.
Your old mob.
Yep.
In Adelaide, so I got over there just in time. Nearly missed the plane.
That was funny, hey?
We had a couple of meetings that ran a bit over time.
So you had a 2 o'clock flight.
2:10,
and you left the club at what, 1:10?
1:10. So lucky I had no check-in, because I was just straight to the airport, didn't speed, just got through.
Exactly.
I was just getting frustrated with people in front of me.
You would have been so angry.
everyone was going slow in my eyes, but I got there. I think I got there at 1:40.
And then what was crazy is how empty is the valet parking at Virgin. Every single time you go, it's
Every
empty.
time it's
the
empty.
one time you go, there was no parks.
There was 0 parks. So I had to park right down the end. You probably saw my car. You got there an hour later or whatever it was. Later. But yeah, got on the plane with probably
Lucky.
15 minutes before takeoff.
Yeah, they would have held it up for you though. Mate.
No way.
Yeah, they would have.
No way.
You would have had business class at the front.
I was actually very nervous because I was walking through the airport expecting my name to be called out on the speaker, and I was like, oh no. And security was smooth sailing straight through, so I was pretty lucky. But yeah, got over there just in time, and Tibber's mum picked me up from the airport, and we went to the game and watched the girls play some good netball early on, and the last quarter was a little bit scrappy, but they got over the line by... Yeah, Tipper went well. She went well. I was very happy for her. She obviously, first game in new colours.
Yeah, would have been nervous for her.
But first quarter
Some
was...
super shots? Did she...
Yeah, 3 super shots.
Did she? Love that.
First quarter, 2 from 2, so it was good. It was really good, and they played a good team game and got over the line, mate.
Yeah,
and
good.
Who
do they have this week?
They have the Giants, who beat the Swifts.
You're going to watch again, aren't you?
Yes,
good.
I am.
Love that. Oh, they're playing the Giants. It's a good game.
Yeah, because they just beat the Swifts.
Yeah, Swifts are a good team too. There's so many good teams in the netball comp.
Oh,
It's very similar to us.
It's very even.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the AFL's very even. The netball's very even. I love it.
It's good. It's good for sport, and obviously women's sport, the netball. But you obviously ducked up to Queensland
I did.
watched the girls up there.
Yeah,
how was that?
I was an hour after you. Well, lucky. I thought about booking a 2 o'clock flight, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that because the meeting's probably going to go over, but you did. But no, it was good. Obviously, the girls played the Vixens, who probably going off the preseason comp that they had about a month ago. They're probably one of the best teams, if not the favourite, right up there with the Fever. And we didn't get the win, but we lost. But we were in it. We lost by 5 points. We were 14 points down 14 goals down, as they say, at three-quarter time, and we went on a 7-0 run pretty much. We actually gave ourselves a great opportunity.
Start of the fourth quarter, wasn't it?
As soon as the 5 minutes left in the game came and 2-point super shots came, we had a chance, I think, to get it to 4, and I think we missed a shot, and then it was just back and forth. But I think you take a lot of positive out. I know Kim was really good. She was very happy afterwards, and I know when Kim's happy, it's okay, because she's very much like me. If we haven't played well and we haven't won and we should have won, she can
disappointed.
She can get very frustrated, like me.
Yeah, I know what you're like. So
she was.
Can imagine
good.
what Kimmy's like. But I was watching,
she was pretty good.
A couple of new players for the Firebirds. The goal shooter, Danelle.
Oh, star.
Very good.
Star.
So strong.
Great story. So she's fought her way. So what's happened is our shooter, what's her name again? She's pregnant, so she's gonna obviously
Romelda.
Yeah, Romelda. There you go. And so she can't play. So we've had to bring in a shooter, and they've brought in Danelle, who I think she's 28 or 29. She's never played at this level. I think she's always played in the reserve levels and tried to fight her way to get to the top. And she's finally made it. And yeah, she's unreal. She's so strong over the ball. She's a great shot. And I told Kim to shoot her a message on my behalf, tell her how proud I am of her, even though I've never met her. But it's just a great story. I love the story. So, yeah, she's a gun. She's really good. I feel like our defense is really good. Not that I'm the X's and O's about netball, but I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it.
Lara went well too.
Lara
she
was
good.
Lara had
good.
20 goal assists, which is
Stat.
for the netball stats out there. It's a really good stat. So Kim and Lazi are building a really good cohesive connection, which is really good. So.
No, they look really good. Obviously, as you mentioned, the Vixens are probably one of the teams to beat this year.
The Fever got up by 20 against, or 19 against.
I think it was 25?
Something like that. They're so good.
They're going to be the ones to beat.
Fowler's so good.
For sure.
But I did want to touch on a couple of things before we wrap it up. But I wanted to touch on basketball fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're playing Crosby in the prelim, the prelim again to the granny, and you're going to lose, aren't you?
Yeah, I've lost. It's official. I've lost.
So you're conceding to lose, or you've lost?
No, I have lost.
Okay.
Yeah. So today was the first day of the next week I guess it's for third. So I'm playing against, I can't remember who I'm playing against.
One of the guys.
One
who
of the
let
guys.
You down? Tell me what player let you down.
What player let me down? James Harden.
Did he?
Yep. CJ McCollum.
You said that with authority too. James Harden.
Yeah, because he's just been really inconsistent lately. Like he's getting, I don't know. Anyway, and then he gets randomly pulled out of one game because he's got hamstring soreness. That's like every 3 days he gets pulled out.
We've got to look after these hammies, mate. I've had some hammy issues.
And I've obviously had AD on the bench, Anthony Davis.
And you were saying how Crosby's a joke because he picks up players off the waiver wire and they dominate.
Oh, they scored like 60 fantasy points, which
Who was the player? Was it Eubanks?
Yeah.
Eubanks?
Yeah, like I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, well, fair to say you're disappointed.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed.
Time to move on to the NFL draft.
Because Cros, I'm looking forward to that. But Cros, we always have some banter in the locker room, and I had him the first week because it was over 2 weeks, and I was winning by about 300.
I remember.
And then he just gets Jokic, who gets 100, and Kyrie Irving gets 150, and just stuff like that.
Falls in Crosby's way.
It does. But
no, the other thing that I want to touch on, so there's your basketball, is how about the Will Smith and Chris Rock incident?
What are your thoughts on it? Because
wow,
I mean, it's very topical.
Live, first and foremost,
yeah, unbelievable. Like yesterday when we were at the club, everyone was talking about it. To see the vision, and it's like, but then you understand the situation.
Yeah,
and if someone said something like that to you, how would you react? You probably react. You probably wouldn't do what he did.
Wouldn't do it, yeah.
But you would be disappointed.
Oh, you'd be really disappointed. And then it's clearly affected him because he went out there and slapped him. But no, obviously you feel like you could probably deal with it in a better way. But I feel for Will Smith, like it's clearly something that
it's close to his heart.
Him. Absolutely. Yeah. And you probably shouldn't joke about things like that. So, but yeah, I remember seeing it.
It's topical because everyone's talking about it at the moment. And
I first thought it was fake.
Yeah.
Because it kind of looked like he was laughing and slapped him. And then when I realised it was real, it was when he was on the when he was sitting down
And you're still going off at him.
Don't say, get your wife's name out of my mouth, out of your mouth. And that was like, wow. I wonder how the after party was. I wonder if they seen each other because they haven't.
I saw some vision of Will Smith.
I seen him dancing. He was dancing and singing. So hopefully they made amends. But it was wild, wasn't it?
I hope they don't take his award away.
No, I don't think they will.
It was on the news this morning that
take it away.
They're thinking about an appeal and stuff like that. I just hope that they don't do that.
They don't. I think it could have been handled better. Clearly could have been handled better. But yeah, it was a probably the craziest thing you've seen on live TV.
So speaking of celebrities, have you got a questionnaire for me again?
I do. No, of course I do. It's everyone's favourite segment.
It's a weekly segment.
So again, I'm only doing 5 because I don't want to do 10 because it drags on. But
I might ask you a couple of F1 questions.
Yeah, so that'll be your little dig at me.
Nah, it's not as funny.
So anyway,
and like I said, I don't want you to walk out of here in tears.
I wouldn't walk out in tears, mate. I'd run out. So anyway, celebrity quiz. It's an Australian version. So these are all Australian celebrities.
Okay.
And I'm doing 5, and I've gone that easy on the first 2 that if you don't know these 2, I'll legit officially ending this podcast, as in never filming ever again, never doing a potty with you ever again.
If I don't know these 2?
Yep.
Okay.
I bet my life that that you have to know these 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin, yes, I know. Died with a stingray.
The great Steve Irwin. And the second one is
actually nervous.
Eddie Maguire.
Oh, Eddie Maguire.
Come on.
Oh, mate, I know who Eddie Maguire is.
I think it's a fair question to ask in case you...
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. Mate, you don't know... This is where it always gets me. You know who Dr. Phil is, but you don't know who Oprah Winfrey is. They're literally the same person, just on a different show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's disappointing.
So anyway, you do Steve Irwin and
Eddie Maguire.
So there's 2 from 2. But these are the 3. And if it helps you, they're all female. Okay? So there's no males. First one is Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, I do know Nicole Kidman.
You do. How?
Singer?
No.
Who am I thinking of?
Nicole Kidman's
she's an actor.
Actress.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you can't go she's an actor after you know she's not a singer.
Who was I thinking of? I was thinking of Minogue. The actor. And I watched a show with her in it actually recently.
Is it a TV show with Reese Witherspoon and...
I don't know who else it's with. No, it was...
Partner, what's her name?
It was on Amazon. It was on Amazon.
So who's she married to?
I don't know.
She's married to another Australian.
No, what was the show? It's actually a really good show.
Wait, hold on. So do you know who Nicole Kidman is?
Yeah, I do. She plays in a recent one on Amazon Prime.
Well, I'm going to take that as a no because you don't know, but can you tell me who she's married to? Another Australian.
Nah.
Keith Urban?
9 Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
That's the show.
Great movie.
Have you seen that?
Yeah. Show. That's a TV show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen it.
On Amazon.
I've seen the first episode. Anyway, her husband is Keith Urban. He's Australian.
Oh, yeah, I know Keith Urban.
Well, that kind of leads me into the second one. You said it. Who's
Kylie
Minogue? The fourth one.
Oh, was she on your list?
Kylie Minogue.
Oh, I watch her all the time.
Well done.
As in, I've watched her on reality, like on The Voice and stuff like that. Like, no, that's Danny Minogue.
That's Danny Minogue.
Shit. I just got it mixed up.
Kylie's her sister.
Yeah, I know. Kylie's blonde hair.
Well, I think they change. And the last one, I actually don't think you'll get this, but she's probably the number 1 in my opinion, the number 1 Australian actress at the moment, Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I do know Margot Robbie, but I don't know how to explain how.
No, but I feel like we've got the definition now of you knowing.
I know
all
how
the criteria.
Yeah,
you've got to know.
I've got to say how.
How do you know Margot Robbie? You can't just say I know. If you said to me I know Kimi Räikkönen, he was an F1 driver.
Yeah.
You got to say to me, or do you know Kimi Räikkönen?
Yeah, because you can just know the name. But that's where I'm bad. That's probably the connection piece that I'm really bad at. I know the name.
Do you remember which TV Australian soap opera she was made famous in?
Nah.
Oh, the Home and Away or Neighbours?
Probably Home and Away.
Neighbours.
Nah.
Speaking of Kimi Räikkönen, I know a few old school Formula 1 drivers. Kimi Räikkönen, Jenson Button, Michael Schumacher, Mark Webber.
Have you seen, we're talking about Ayrton Senna. Have you seen that documentary on him?
No.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
You should watch that. If you're going to watch Drive to Survive, you should watch that.
But they were my 5 celebs. You did well. Well done. You
Nah,
didn't know who Kylie
I
Minogue
didn't.
was. You definitely didn't know who Margot Robbie was. She's in Suicide Squad, probably the most recent movie that she's in.
It's good.
No, you did well.
No, but we'll move on.
You got a couple questions?
Yeah, we'll move on because I'm a bit sick of that segment. But
Well, not the audience, mate. They love it.
we'll go to Instagram
Okay.
questions.
Couple questions before we end.
Few people have messaged in.
Easy.
One of them, Zach wants us to get a video of us going to do a haircut with Toby Trims.
Oh.
We couldn't do that because of Iran,
Iran would not be happy about that.
so we'll have to pass on that, Zach.
Sorry about that, Zach.
Sorry, mate.
Nah, yeah, Iran would probably not be happy with that. I've got my hair cut tomorrow.
So do I. What time?
Tomorrow, the day before the game, yeah. I've got it late. Probably the last one.
2:30, I think.
Nah, I'm late. I see the priority he has there, Iran. I know he listens.
Someone else Travis asked about my smothers.
Yep. Another 5 on the weekend.
Do you reckon I'll lead the league in smothers?
Absolutely. I reckon you lead it after one game. So if that was your first game on the weekend, that would probably be the leaderboard until maybe week, because you had 5 on the weekend, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
That would probably lead until about round 4 or 5. Probably.
Maybe.
No, it would.
How's this? Another one. Hayden sent in a video of us doing leg swings at halftime. He said, surely this gets a mention on the podcast.
Wow, that is funny.
Can you see this?
Well, we don't warm up kick together.
No, we don't. I've always done it with CD.
So there's a superstition there. Because you said you don't have any superstitions.
I don't really, but
That's a superstition.
what if I'm doing it because he wants to do it?
One, you say to him, "Oh no, I want to do it with ads," or it's not even me. Do it with someone else.
Well, I could. But
I dare you.
I just like getting used to his kicks, mate, because,
I dare you.
he hits you
I
up
dare
the
you.
middle of the ground all the time.
I dare you for this week.
All right. I'll try.
Yeah. Hey, have you liked the video content? Now
Yeah.
we've got the video. It's the
Yeah,
first time
well,
doing
it's the
video.
first time we got the video, and obviously we got some overlay of the track and stuff, so that'll be pretty cool to see, and we'll post some of it on Instagram.
And
But we're working on it because we want to get some more.
We want to get content. We want people. So this is what I want for people listening. I want people out there to send some stuff. So a bit like getting a haircut with Toby.
Yep.
Like, obviously we're not going to do that. Sorry, but who was that? That was Zach, was it?
Yeah, Zach.
Anyway,
I think.
sorry, Zach. I want them to send challenges or whatever in for us to record against each other. We had a little we did the gauntlet yesterday at training.
Yeah,
We had a sumo wrestle.
We did. We should talk about it because who won?
Well, I don't know who won.
Who won?
Well-
you know exactly who won.
Hang on. Technically, no.
What are the? Who was?
Technically, no.
Tell me this. Tell
Because
me
you
this.
touched the ground first.
Who was smarter?
You were, well and truly. So you've gone in and I've just tried
So
to use...
I just knew that Adam would come out and just try and push me, use his strength because he's really strong.
Which I did.
I knew that he would just try and push me
I was
straight out of the
shoving him
circle. It was
around.
like a circle, and it was the first one out of the circle. So sort of pushed against him a little bit, but then I knew that he would get me right
so
to the
you
edge.
would let go.
So then I just stepped to the side and then rolled on top of him. And
Hang
then
on.
won.
I slung you, so then we ended up landing on top of each other.
Who was on the bottom?
I was, but technically, Edgy, so Edgy was overseeing it. Edgy said that I won.
Edgy was doing the smothers.
Well, whoever was there, was it Webby?
No, Edgy said to me after training, he's like, you were way too smart for Adam there. And you said to Edgy after training,
he was.
You said to him that, geez, Dunks was too smart for me.
He was. I was disappointed in myself. I was freaking disappointed.
Yes.
And the worst thing
Yes.
is we had to run 40 metres afterwards. I was like,
Oh.
oh, stuff this.
It was yuck, but I'm happy with that. Actually, it's probably my highlight of the week.
Oh, yeah, we may finish on the highlight of the week.
Yep, let's do it.
So my highlight was Georgie's birthday last week.
Georgie's birthday. What day was it again?
It was Wednesday last week.
Wednesday.
So I was able to go see her on Saturday when I went up there.
Oh, and we touched on what you got her and stuff as a present last week.
I got her 2 hampers.
Yeah.
So obviously, yeah, that was my highlight because that was the start of the day of the podcast into this week. So technically it's last week. So anyway, seeing Georgie, she's got her 2 hampers, like a chocolate basket hamper and a teddy basket hamper. And yeah, mate, it was good. It was good to see her. She's growing. Whew,
Yeah, it's pretty
she's
good.
growing.
And I remember on the weekend bit of a lighter or sadder note, but you were messaging me saying how hard it is.
Oh, yeah, it sucks.
It's pretty tough, isn't it?
It
I
sucks.
can't imagine what you're going through, but yeah, it's just a hard situation. But like you always talk about, it's positive in the long run.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, it's always hard saying goodbye. The hardest thing is saying goodbye at the airport. And I was actually going home, but I had no one at home, so I obviously live with Jesse, and Jesse was in Brisbane too. So I was literally going home by myself. So it's always sad when you say goodbye at the airport and you walk off and
you're lonely,
a couple of tears in your eyes, and listening to some sad music or whatever it may be. But it was all good as soon as I got on the flight. Watched Fury, great movie.
Fury,
great movie. Have you seen it?
Nah,
great movie. Watch it.
What did I do on the plane? I watched F1 Drive to Survive.
Of course you did. Was that your highlight? Tell me your highlight.
Probably going to Adelaide and seeing Tip win her first game in new colours was pretty cool, pretty special. Other than that, I think today's been really cool coming here.
I enjoyed this.
As they're still sort of preparing for next week in the F1, and speaking to Andrew, obviously been a good experience, and meeting a few people around the traps was pretty cool as well. So a couple of highlights. So hopefully next week one of our highlights is
winning, singing the song.
Getting a win and singing a song, and
no doubt it will be.
Yeah, hopefully. So do you want to wrap it up there? We'll probably wrap it up there. And
yeah, mate, we're done, I reckon. We've spent a good hour talking. It's been good. It's been a good episode.
It's been good. So hopefully, obviously, Andrew Westacott, F1 CEO, I'll mention him again and thank him for his time. But another week done, mate, another episode, and looking forward to next week already.
Get your challenges out there, guys. We want some challenges and some video content.
Yeah, send some into the Instagram account.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.